Sikh history and religious education, SHARE as it's known, the abbreviation of. Our main objective is to provide resources either through applications on mobiles or computer software or through published works such as posters and things like that. And the idea behind that is we want to be able to use that medium to spread knowledge about the Sikh faith, which we believe in this country especially is really lacking. And not just this country but around the world. For example, when you look at things like 9/11, one of the first people that were killed after 9/11 was a Sikh guy because somebody had mistaken him for a Muslim. So we need to get rid of those myths and confusions and things like that. So we need to, the Sikh community generally need to step up. And I don't think that they have over the last 100 years that they've been here. They've mostly been really concentrated in the gurdwaras, and most of their seva has been involved in the gurdwaras, but they haven't gone outside the gurdwaras, and we want to change that.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge for your organisation looking ahead?
Okay, so one of the biggest challenges, not just for our organisation or our faith, is if you look at most faiths, their biggest challenge is that a lot of people are going towards atheism, right? They just don't believe, or they've seen too much corruption, or they've seen too many bad things that religious people have done, and it just put them off. You know, we've got a huge challenge on our hands to not only educate the people that want to know about Sikhi, which are mostly Sikhs, but there are other people that are interested as well because they want to de-stress and all that kind of through meditation, which we can help them with. So that's one of our biggest challenges is being able to offer somebody some information which doesn't put them off straight away. Oh, well, that's God, or that's Bible bashing, or that kind of scenario. Ours is not about that. Ours is about, okay, well, here's a Sikh faith. You should at least know these are your minimum basics that you should know. And this is for people who are of the faith and children of our generation or younger than us who just haven't got a grasp because their families didn't really bother to tell them or didn't know themselves. So we need to bridge that gap.
And do you personally believe it's actually getting more difficult to spread the message of Sikhi and other religions to younger generations?
I think things are, like I said, so there's a growth in atheism. People are put off by multitude of really controversial things that have happened around the world. You know yourselves of the amount of priests and things like that have been caught up with certain allegations and stuff like that, or people embezzling funds from certain religious organisations. So people think, oh, then if that religious folk are doing that, then how are they better than us? And that puts them off straight away. Surely religion is trying to make you a better person than you already are. As my dad always says, Sikhi basically is this in a nutshell, is as a human to be humane. It just reminds you of that, right? So there are things that animals don't do to each other which humans do, which is crazy, and we're supposed to be more intelligent. So there's obviously a massive understanding gap. We need to get more knowledge up on what Sikhi says, and we believe that if we do follow those principles, then we will not only have better lives ourselves, but we'll be better for those around us, our communities as well.
Do you think that misunderstanding across different faith groups actually sometimes does lead to division that we are seeing in our nation at the minute?
So when you say misunderstanding, what do you mean by that?
So misunderstanding about Sikhi, misunderstanding about Islam. Do you link that potentially with the increase in hate crimes that we have seen across our nation? People may not know, what, say, a Qurban is, for example, what the turban symbolises and things like that. So they may jump to conclusions then and vent their frustrations wrongly, obviously. Yeah. But do you see any links with that lack of understanding, with potential division, potential hate crime across our nation?
Sure, that's a great question. We have, this is my personal experience, that when people don't know why you wear a turban or why you wear a Qurban, they'll question it and go, whoa, what's that all about? They're like really, they're taken aback. But when you explain the history of the Qurban, the history of the turban, their attitude changes literally within seconds. They think, oh, I didn't realise, sorry. And that's amazing. That shows you a little bit of education, how it can change somebody's perception, right? Actually, I didn't realise that the Sikhs wear the turban for these reasons, and you've come out of this repression and oppression. You've fought against that, and these are symbols of that fighting against that, mostly Mughal or Islamic oppression that we went through in the 1700s, etc. So when people learn that, they think, wow, that's no different really to what's happening in parts of the world today.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing, sort of comparison that they make.
And looking ahead now, what would you say is the vision of Share UK, say 10 years down the line? What would you have liked to have achieved?
Certainly, yeah. I think that we need to have more professional Sikh organisations in the UK which can liaise with media groups and things like that, for example. And we want to try to set the stall out like that.
Yeah.
And if you look at, for example, licence payers channels such as BBC 1, BBC 2, how many Sikhs do you see on that? I mean, when I look at it, right, we're probably just under 1% in this country as a population, but we don't even make 1% of any coverage on TV, which is absolutely nuts, yet we're paying into that. And that really upsets me. So we can't just sit and get upset about it, we need to do something about it. And that's our challenge as Share, to try to produce quality quality information that people will want to use, and obviously educate people in the process.